Okay, so we've come so far. Okay, previous video we talked about the MLS, and now we will talk about listing process. Let me just jump right into the page. Where is it? Okay, so this is the listing process. So what happens when a seller want to sell the property is that they will request an initial consultation with a real estate agent because most of them gusto nila malaman kung paano yung property selling paano siya nagwo-work. So what will happen is that they will schedule a consultation with an agent, and then the agent usually will ask for the address ahead of time so they can prepare things like the CMA or comparative market analysis. And using the comparative market analysis, they will know how much the property should be listed for, because listing the property higher than the market value will means that it's possible na walang buyer na magkagusto doon kasi masyadong mahal. Selling it below the market value, ibig sabihin naman malulugi naman si seller. So the agent usually will create a CMA, or if you're a VA for a real estate agent, the agent will ask you to create a CMA, which is comparative market analysis. Later on this video, we will try to create a CMA, but for now, that is this is the seller's guide. This is how the selling process will work. So once the listing price is has been set and the seller agree to the listing price, they will list let me see, showing that's wrong. Okay. Next is they will list the property. Once the property has been listed, they can now accept showings. Like I mentioned earlier, showing is when the agent bring their buyers to tour the house para makita nila kung maganda ba talaga siya inside and out. Then the agent will start marketing. There are a lot of marketing strategies, cold calling, flyers, and as a VA, you might be assigned to do the marketing, designing the flyers, creating social media ads, cold calling, those things. Then preparing the property. This means doing inspections, surveys ahead of time before they even have a contract para meron na silang mapakita. Next is signing contract. This is kapag meron ng offer, and all the way to closing. Closing is kapag ita-transfer na yung title. And then post-sale follow-up. This is for you and your agent. So once you sell the property, you need to still follow up with the seller. Kung okay na ba lahat, kung meron ka pa bang mahi-help, and things like that. It's important for the client relationship management. And then here is your job as a VA. First, on the first phase, you need the preparation phase. Like I mentioned, before they even meet with the client, they will call you to schedule an appointment or initial consultation, like in the first phase here. So, what will happen in the preparation phase, you will need to ask them the basic information, the property address, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, and if it's occupied as of the moment, is if it's vacant, kung may tenants, yung mga ganong information. So your client can prepare the CMA or comparative market analysis ahead of time before meeting the client. And then when the listing agreement has been signed, you will now list the property on the MLS. On the previous video, I shared with you a tutorial video on how to list a property in the MLS, and that is what you will do as a VA. Next is communicating with potential buyers. Buyers will usually give you a call, the office number of your agent, or email. So you are responsible to provide information about the property, to talk to them guide them through all the questions they have regarding the property. So you need to be really aware of what the property is like when your agent is selling it. The next is transaction coordination. This thing deals with the contracts and everything. And later on, we will talk about the forms that you need to work on to as a transaction coordination. But as a transaction coordination, different cities, states, and location have their different type of transaction coordination or contract. So you need to be aware of that. And lastly, post sale follow up. After closing, you still need to follow up with your seller if everything goes smoothly, if they need any kind of help from you or your agent. Now let's talk about the forms that you need for uh on the listing side, listing process if your client is representing the listing the seller side. First is the listing agreement. Yung listing agreement is a contract between the seller and the real estate agent. It it outlines the work that the real estate agent will do and the conditions and the commission. That is what's within the listing agreement. Then the seller's disclosure. This is mostly filled out by the seller because hindi mo naman alam or your agent does not know what are the defects that the house have. So the seller's disclosure, most likely you will just have to send it to the seller for them to sign and complete. The seller's disclosure include um, information about the property. What are the appliances that will be in the property when the seller bought it? If there are any defects, leaks, mga sira, molds, things like that. Agency disclosure form. The agency disclosure form disclose the role of the agent in the transaction, and also it disclose the broker's uh, a role in the transaction. This is like listing agreement, but a separate form. It's part of the listing agreement, but this is a separate form. Addendum and amendments. Addendum and amendments, you will use this most commonly kapag meron ng contract between a buyer and the seller. Addendum meaning if you need to add additional information. While amendments kapag kailangan mo mag-change ng certain information. For example, addendum you need to add uh the financing agreement. That is what the addendum is for. And amendments, if for example, kailangan mong i-change yung name ng buyer or ng seller, but the contract is already signed, hindi mo pwedeng i-edit yung pinaka-contract. What you will do is you will add additional form which is called the amendments of contract. And doon mo ilalagay yung papalitan mong information. Pre-listing inspection report. Like I mentioned, kailangan may inspection and survey na yung property before natin sila i-sell kasi hihingin din yan ng the other party ng buyer side. So pre-listing inspection report is just a detailed assessment ng condition ng property, kung may sira yung bubong, kung may kailangang ipaayos. That is what the pre-listing inspection. Once you are in a contract, usually they will also do another inspection, but this is on the buyers to confirm the repairs, yung mga sira, yung mga issue, and yung condition ng pinakabahay. CMA or comparative market analysis. This is the analysis of the market in regards to the property's value. It uses the previous listing, sold properties as the basis of the current market value of the property for the listing price. Next is we have, sorry. So that will be all for the listing process and the forms. Later on this, probably next module, we will talk about more about the forms and the contract that you have to be familiar with.